father who directed me in the right path. Unfortunately, my mom and dad got divorced when I was young, and my dad moved to LA, and my mom hooked up with a big-time drug dealer here in town, and I was real young, and I had it made. My mom was never home. I was around a bunch of abusive people, drug addicts, alcoholics, like myself, and my life was a mess. I grew up like that, and when I was about 12 years old, I started partying, drinking, and smoking, and joking, and running with the gangs, and I thought that was a cool way of life. But then my mom, she got busted, went to prison, went to a foster home for about a year and a half. Had to live there separated from my brothers and sisters. I had 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and we all went to different foster homes, so that was nice too. It just made me a little harder, a little more callous towards the world, It was me against the world. Does anybody care? But I had a father who cared, my father in heaven. He talked to my father in LA, and my father in LA came back, and he came and he got custody, found out that we were in a foster home, came back, got me out, got my brothers and sisters out, moved us into a home, and started to teach us what was right and what's wrong. He told us about how it is growing up hard and what it is to work hard, and he told us about how it is growing up in a society where it's all about you yourself and pulling yourself up by the bootstrap and working hard. You can make something of yourself, So I had to struggle with what I had learned growing up most of my life up to that point. I had to look around and really examine my ways and find out, how am I going to live? Am I going to live like this? I know it's chaotic, it's rough, it's violent, or am I going to live right? And I had a father who started to teach me what was right. And I'm just so thankful for God that I didn't continue down that path. It took many years. I grew up as a teenager, using alcohol, went to high school, was still using, graduated high school, but during that interim from 9th grade to 12th grade, I was out robbing and stealing. I ran these streets right here behind me. Grew up on the east side on Grant and 6th, on the west side, at Chandler and Sunset, went to Edison, went to Fresno High. I traveled around a lot, And I was a stick-up kid. I used to go out there and, if it was available, if there was a Kentucky Fried Chicken around or a McDonald's, or if I was on one and you happened to be around, well, you just got. That was the way it is, See, I knew better. See, I knew that was wrong, but I still did it. I needed some more discipline, some more direction in my life, and I longed to be wanted, and I wanted that secure feeling that I had something, I was somebody, and that's hard to try to find when you grew up the way I grew up. Try to find out who you are and what you are, where you fit in this world, you know what I mean? And I could take things if I was violent. I could take things if I wanted. I can go out and hustle things. I can get it. I'm equipped, you know what I mean? I can do this. And that's the way I grew up. I want to do it, I'm going to go do it. Me and a couple of my boys, we're going to do it. But you know what? I thought that was the life to live. I thought that was a way to go about things to get what I wanted. And I graduated high school. I went to the military for a couple of years, came back home. Thought I got a little bit of discipline. But when I came back, my friends were doing the same thing when I left. And I went right back to what I was doing before. Getting in trouble, caught a couple of raps here and there, got a record, so I had this plan for my future that I'm going to do well, but I ended up right back in the vomit, the same pit that I tried to get out of, try to get some discipline in my life. I try to do that on my own understanding. I try to do that with my master plan. I'm going to join the service. I'll get discipline. I'll have a job. I'll create a future for myself. This is a good starting point. But when your heart's not right and your mind's not right and all your intentions ain't right, and God's nowhere in sight, you know what? I'm going to tell you what, it ain't going to happen. I don't care how hard you try, how hard you press yourself, it's not going to happen. Because God ain't in the plan. You're going to fail, you're bound to fail, because God is not in the plan. And I'm just so thankful that in 1990, I I was arrested and I went to jail for robbery and they let me out. The worst thing they could do is they let me out. I went in one day and let me out the next day. And about a month later I was back in again. I had gotten high and wrecked my car and I drove home across town to the other side of town, and a helicopter was following me overhead. I was so high I didn't even know. And when I got home, they arrested me again and locked me up and went back to jail. But when I was in jail, I prayed and I really got down on my knees and I prayed. I cried out to God. I said, God, I don't want this life no more. I really don't want to do no time, but I really don't want this life no more. I don't like this life. So that's the first time I really reached out and cried and asked God for help. Lord, let me know you more. Let me know your ways. Because my ways, man, I end up wrecking. I'm always wrecking. I'm always checking into this place right here, Lord. I don't want to check into this place no more. So I got an opportunity to go to a place called the Maroa Home. And it's a rehabilitation home for drug addicts, alcoholics, and people with substance abuse issues. And I'm so thankful that I got sent there. I didn't want to because I was like, man, I'm trying to just do this program and get back out to get back into what I was doing before. Or am I going to have a chance to change? And if I want to change, I got to do something. I have to want something. And that want was I wanted to get closer to God. I wanted God to do something. I wanted to move him out. I wanted to see the miracles that everybody's talking about. I want to see and hear from God like I always hear when I watch TV and I hear the pastors preaching and the people in the congregation saying amen. And I wanted that. I wanted that healing touch. I wanted to know him in an intimate way. And I wanted that. So I started to seek God out and it took a couple years and about 2 or 3 more relapses, but I finally came to an understanding that who God was. See, I had OD'd twice, once at my aunt's house on heroin and cocaine. See, I was smoking dope, drinking, was introduced to heroin and cocaine, speedball, and I was like, man, okay, this is a new lick. I almost died, but God had a plan for me. Maybe 2 weeks later, I was back in the hospital again, OD'd again, but God had a plan for me. About 2 weeks after that, I was sober. Went over to my mom's house. I was sitting on her couch, and I sat down, and it was a very strange day, and God just His presence just fell over me at my mom's house, and it was a beautiful, wonderful thing to feel the presence of God. I've longed for all my life the presence of the Lord, and He fell on me, man, and I've never been the same.